This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 342 of Horse Tip Daily, a different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is sponsored by FeedXL. Visit them at feedxl.com. Well, howdy, everybody. Glenn the Geek back with you from Lexington, Kentucky, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily. Well, today we have another listener that joins us to do tips. She wrote in, and I said, you can't get away with just writing in and giving your tips over the email. You have to join us on the show. And her name is Karen from Oregon. Karen has been horse crazy forever, but started riding as an adult. Her daughter rode 4-H and convinced her to give it a try. That's when she did, and she is currently riding a quarter horse and moving up to training level dressage next year. So daughters, be careful what you ask for. If you ask mom to ride, she may just ride and take half the money that you were getting towards your hobby for hers. That's what happens with horse addiction. So we appreciate Karen joining us. If you would like to join in the fun and offer your tips and your advice to people, just drop me an email, and we would love to get you started here on Horse Tip Daily. This is much your show as it is anybody's, so we hope that you become part of it. You know, this show is sponsored by FeedXL, and one of the things we all care about is how we're feeding our horses. Are we feeding them right? Are we feeding them the right things? Are the right supplements, the right food, the right grain, too much, too little? There's so many things that you have to worry about with your horses. Yeah, well, FeedXL takes all that worry away. FeedXL is like having your own personal equine nutritionist stuffed into your back pocket. And FeedXL is so good that it's used by leading equine nutritionists to formulate balanced diets for their clients. Using the details about your horse and what you feed him, FeedXL will do some serious math to calculate if your horse's nutritional requirements are being met. And then they give you graphs, charts, all kinds of ways to see if you're feeding too much, too little, or you're not feeding enough of the right vitamin, that kind of thing. It's all done by FeedXL. So stop worrying, start doing something about it. Stop over at feedxl.com. Sign up today and learn if you are feeding your horses correctly. And now, a listener tip from Karen Hassel. Well, hi, Karen, and welcome to your first episode of Horse Tip Daily.
Well, I'm just pleased to be able to contribute something to the good of the horse people. Glenn, it's really a privilege to visit with you.
Well, it's fun because I know you've been a listener for a long time, and of course, you're one of our listener tips now. You wrote in and had a tip, and I said, well, you can't get away with just writing in with it. You actually have to come on the air and tell us all about it. So that's what happened, and we want to encourage others. If you're a listener out there, and I know there's tens of thousands of you now, if you have tips that you would like to share, unique things that you go, he hasn't talked about that yet, well, just let me know, and we'll get you on the air to talk about it as well. We love having our listeners on. And as you know, Karen, there's been a number of them now that we've converted and have become experts on Horse Tip Daily. So it's a thrill to have you. You're from Oregon.
Well, I wanted to tell everybody that the tip that I have is to use an MP3 player that has the ability to record for when you are having lessons. I've found that I can't always have somebody else videotape me, and even if they could, oftentimes the instructors standing in the middle of the ring either talking to the rider, and so the audio can't be heard by the the videotape recorder. And so this allows us to be able to go back and review it. And sometimes we have to sync it up if we're trying to sit and watch the replay of the video. But the other thing that I found that really got me started with this was that sometimes I'm dealing with the horse's behavior, and I can't either cannot hear what the instructor is saying, or I just cannot focus on it. And so this gives me much more information from each message or from each lesson, because I'm able to record it and listen to it again. And I found that I really get my money's worth out of lessons by being able to do this.
That's a great idea. Now, do you give the MP3 player to the instructor to hold so that the sound definitely gets on there?
Yes, actually I do. They're really small and compact, and I have them on like a lanyard, and I just put them around ask the instructor to put them around their neck. And
Oh, the lanyard's a great idea, actually.
yeah, and the instructors are so receptive, and I found that they'll actually give me more detail because they know that I'm going to listen to it again, and I've had them say, now, so that you'll be able to listen to this again, here's the little, the nitty-gritty stuff on this particular movement, and that I wouldn't have gotten had I not been recording it.
And your MP3 player does a good job of doing the recording?
It's amazing. Yeah, actually, I've found that the sound quality is better than one of those little handheld recorders.
Oh, the digital recorders, yeah.
Yeah. They're and the files are much easier to be able to transfer onto the computer, to be able to change like the name of the file so that you can store it either back, leave it on the player again. You can change it so that you can see it as it goes across the little display on the MP3 player, or you can file it under the perhaps a folder that has the instructor's name on your computer, so you can save it so you can listen to it again.
Well, it is interesting because a lot of people don't realize that their iPhones or their Android phones also have very, very good audio recorders on them.
That's a good idea, too.
Yep, they have very good audio recorders, so your phone can do the same thing. Matter of fact, I know we were just talking before we started recording about the 2010 radio show with my co-host Samantha at the WAG. She actually recorded most of her interviews on her iPhone.
How interesting. Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you that there's a variety of applications and devices that would actually do that, so that most of us probably have something with us that could actually record if we just knew how to make it do it. That's the trick.
Now you said
got to play with it ahead of time, so that you actually know how to do it before you're actually sitting on the horse and trying to.
Yeah, that's probably not a good time.
No.
Now tell me, you said you do this during lessons. What kind of lessons do you take?
I'm a dressage rider.
Okay, cool.
And so I like to be able to do that. I'm in a fairly remote area in northeastern Oregon, and so I don't have easy access to lessons. So they're particularly precious for me. So if I do get a chance to either drive for 3 hours to my favorite instructor, or somebody comes in to do some lessons into our valley, then I really want to make sure that I get my money's worth, and that it's something that I can work on all of the things that they give me until they're going to come back again. Because clinicians that come, we rarely get more than about 6 or 8 times in the whole year that a clinician comes here. So we're particularly starved for the education, so I want to get the most of it out of it. So, and with the MP3 player, it lets us I can still listen to it and make written notes of my lessons, but in lots more detail than I could have if I was just trying to remember them.
Well, and trying to remember while you're riding in a lesson is difficult at best.
Oh yeah, and I like to ride my horse after my lesson just to see how much I remember, and then I'll listen again I'll listen to the tape, and so that then I'm reminded of, oh yeah, they said this and this and this. So it really does. I'm always amazed at how much the instructor said that I either didn't hear to begin with or that I can't remember.
Well, now, you said Oregon, and what I think of with Oregon, and especially you said here in the Valley, sounds like beautiful trail riding country.
It is gorgeous trail riding country. We're surrounded by we're in like the largest valley in the United States. My kids told me when they went through geography, and but we also have a wilderness area right close to us that has some of the most gorgeous high mountains. They're kind of, people equate them to the Alps, and one fellow that was from Alaska that was fighting fire here said that that our mountains are just as gorgeous as theirs are up there. So
wow.
it is, it's gorgeous, gorgeous high country, and there's quite a group of like the backcountry horsemen that actually keep those trails open because the Forest Service no longer has the funds to do that. So it is tremendously beautiful area, but we definitely have winters here. We get quite a bit of snow, and it doesn't usually get down below zero. Once in a while it will, but just for a short period of time. So, but the wind blows, and we have ground blizzards, and the roads get closed, and so it's but it's a gorgeous place to live. Just absolutely incredibly beautiful.
Well, it sounds like it, and it makes me want to go out and ride, actually, when you're
Oh, good. Yeah.
before winter comes. Hey, I appreciate you being on, and thank you so much for listening to the shows. We appreciate that, too. Will you come back again sometime?
Sure, and thank you for doing Horse Radio Network. It is just so enjoyable. I listen to every episode.
Well, great. We appreciate that. We're glad somebody does,
Yes.
We just sit here talking to ourselves and hope somebody listens. Now we know Karen from Oregon is listening.
Yep, that's for sure.
Thanks, Karen. Well, thank you so much to Karen from Oregon for joining us on the Horse Tip Daily. We really appreciate her stopping by, and we'll have some more tips from her coming up in future weeks. Well, we have some exciting things coming over the next couple of days here on Horse Tip Daily. It's coming into Thanksgiving week, and we had some terrific shows on some of the other shows coming up. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, and we're going to have a special 4 days coming up. Over the next 4 days, we're going to have something special for you and a little bit different here on Horse Tip Daily, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So we look forward to having you as part of Horse Tip Daily Thanksgiving week. Have a great ride, everybody, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Don't forget, 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, horsesinthemorning.com, our live morning show for an hour and a half every morning. It's getting a lot of great response. People are loving it, and I am thoroughly enjoying doing it with my wife is the producer, and Jamie Jennings out of Arizona is the co-host, and she is terrific. It's so much fun to do. So stop on by. We hope to see you at Horses in the Morning every morning, 9 a.m. If you don't catch it live, you can listen to the recorded version later in the day. Well, have a great ride, everybody, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.